Good afternoon, everyone. This is me back again to do another Sudoku solve. Um, this puzzle that I have in front of you now is a killer Sudoku that was created by Clover. Clover is one of my favorite setters, so I'm very happy to be able to do this puzzle. That is of short. This is, of course, assuming that I am able to do this puzzle. I have not yet attempted it. Um, so Clover is a very active setter on the Cracking the Cryptic Discord server. She every day she is one of the people who publishes the GAS puzzles or the gas puzzles, which are the genuinely approachable Sudoku. And every day a new I won't say very easy, but approachable and good for beginners Sudoku is published on the server in the daily Sudoku channel. If you are interested in Sudoku and looking to get involved, there are already, I think, nearly 100 puzzles in that list being created by her and two other setters, and I highly recommend looking for the Cracking the Cryptic YouTube channel. Any of their videos will link you to their Discord server, and in there you will be able to find the daily Sudoku channel, and there you will find a lot of puzzles, 1/3 of which are from Clover, which will teach you a lot of the fundamentals of how to solve Sudoku. But that's those puzzles. This puzzle is one that Clover posted to the testing channel on the Cracking the Cryptic Discord server, and I was immediately drawn to it because it had a couple of things that I thought I could see at the beginning that might be interesting, because of something that I wanted to call out and something that I've wanted to try and do in a video. I have no idea if it is required for this solve, but I will find out as I do it. But I am going to see if it is required. So this is a killer Sudoku. I'm not sure I have covered a killer Sudoku before, but I will go over the basics of how killer Sudoku work. Of course, I will provide links below to this puzzle so for people who wish to attempt to solve it themselves. With Killer Sudoku, the rules are quite simple. Each of these cages, it is normal Sudoku rules apply. Every box, column, and row must contain the numbers from 1 to 9 without repetition. And each of these cages, the numbers that are placed in the cages must sum to the value given in the top corner of the cage. So these will sum to 33, these will sum to 9, and you cannot repeat digits within a cage. So while there are 5 digits here, they will all be unique numbers. And that's the rules to Killer Sudoku. Now, I will admit at the very beginning, I do use a tool, which I will have on a second screen, to help me track numbers. I am not as good as math as many of the people on the internet who solve Sudoku, so I will be using a sheet to allow me to keep track of things and do math more quickly, so as to progress through the puzzle a bit more quickly. Some people say that is cheating. I do not think that's the case. If people need to use notepad or calculators or whatever to solve a puzzle, it is all still part of solving. So yeah, feel free to use whatever. In my opinion, people should feel free to use whatever tools that they wish to solve it. I created a tool for myself when I started solving Sudoku, to help me with particularly killer Sudoku and other ones that required a lot of math. And as I've gotten better, I use that tool less and less, but I still do use it, and I will be using it while I am solving this puzzle. So let's see if we can solve it. So immediately notice this cage. 24 in 3 cells without repetition can only be 7, 8, 9. 23 in 3 must be 6, 8, 9. That's just because there's no other way of doing it. 22 in 3, however, has 2 options, I think. Yeah, 5, 8, 9 or 6, 7, 9. Either way, there is a 9 in there. 33 in 5 looks high. This is me looking at the tool I mentioned. There must be a 789 in a 33. That's weird. Oh, that one is even better. So we, this is what cracking the cryptic call the secret. If this is a complete box of a Sudoku, so this will contain all of the digits from 1 to 9. If you add those together, you get the digits 45. So each row, column, and box will add to 45. Here we have 8 digits, and we know the total of those 8 digits. So 11, 20, 30, 38, 45 minus 38 is 7, which takes 7 out of all of those. How can we use this? We know there's a 1 in a 3-cell 8 cage. 21 in 3 requires an 8 or a 9. Actually, it requires 2 of 7, 8, or 9. So whichever one isn't there will be in there. And the same is going to... Oh, but yeah, that's not quite the same here. There's something going on here. This with all of these 7, 8s, and 9s. So one thing I wanted to call out before we started, and I'm going to do it. The cells I've got highlighted here will be a familiar pattern to people who have watched a lot of videos on the Cracking the Cryptic channel or several others. And this is part of what is known as the Fistemafel ring by a lot of people. And the basic concept of the Fistemafel ring is that the digits that are highlighted in blue will contain exactly the same digits as the digits that are highlighted in green. And for people who have seen this on all other channels, I'm really sorry, but I am going to explain it. So the general concept is, as I said, that all of these blue cells must be exactly the same digits as these green cells. So the reason I'm thinking this is interesting is we've got known values in here by these cages, and we know the exact values of these, and there's a lot of pressure on 7, 8s, and 9s. So I'll explain why this is the case. So if we were to look at these 3 boxes, or actually let's do it this way. If we would look at this box, this box, this box, and this box of the grid and highlight them in green, we know that that is 4 complete boxes, which means that there will be within there will be 4 1s, 4 2s, 4 3s, 4 4s. So there will be 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. And this is called set equivalence theory by a lot of people, because what you are doing is you will be making different groups of digits equivalent to each other. So different sets of digits equivalent, set equivalence theory. So I actually mentioned this in a previous video where it wasn't really set theory, although that's a whole other thing. But anyway, so what we're doing here is these are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. So what we can also do, however, is we can highlight this line, this line, this line, and this line, and highlight those a different color, and they will be 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now, you will notice, however, that when we highlighted, for example, this line and this line, we crossed this boundary twice. And when we highlighted this line and this line, we crossed this boundary twice. So these cells have been counted twice. So now what we can do is, if we start removing digits that are included in both of these, both blue and green, then we're still maintaining the equivalent set, because this digit exists in both green and blue. So if we remove it, then we have not changed the fact that green and blue must be equal. And we can do that on all of these cells. So if we remove all of these cells, we have literally removed exactly the same digits or exactly the same cells from the from both of blue and green, and therefore blue and green are still exactly equal. They will contain exactly the same digits. These ones, however, are double blue and one green because we counted them twice when we added the blues. So if we remove one blue, which I've made a purple, and then we remove the green, we end up with the pattern I showed you at the beginning. And this is showing us that blue here is exactly the same as green. So what we can do now is I can add up all of those blue cages, and they sum to 113. Then I can add up the green cages, and they sum to 84, and the difference between that is 29. So what we know is these 4 cells here, because the 84 came from those cells, what we know is that these 4 cells will sum to 29. 29 is not as constrained a number as I was hoping, because 29 can be made up a lot of different ways, particularly considering you can have duplicates. Damn. So I've explained all of that, and I'm not sure that it will be useful. Well, we will see. Okay, the shape of all of this is very weird. Now this 689 is less useful, but this 789, we know 7, 8, and 9 must exist in here. So if we say this cell is green, this cell is blue, and this cell is orange. So these are, we don't know which of these is 7, which of these is 8, and which of these is 9, but let's just give them a color to identify which one of them is one of them. We know that green and orange can't exist in there, but green and orange have to be in this cage because this needs to have a 7, an 8, and a 9. So this becomes green, orange, and blue will have to go in there. Similarly down here, this will be blue and orange because blue and orange can't go down there. Which means, if you look here, orange in this row is taken, orange in this row is taken. So if orange was 8 or 9, you could not put 8 or 9 in this cage. So orange, because if orange was 8, then this cage couldn't have an 8 in it and would be broken. And if orange was 9, you couldn't put 9 in this cage and this cage would be broken. So orange has to be 7, meaning there's no 7 there. We've already eliminated 7. Clover, you clever lady. Which makes that a 7. They are now orange, but I'm actually just going to remove the color because we don't need to know. These are not orange. And we end up with that. But we do know that blue is in here. We know that blue is, they're not 7. Blue is either 8 or 9. So this is either an 8 or a 9. This is either an 8 or a 9 and is green. Blue must be up there, but it can't be there because it would see that one. So this cell sees both a green and a blue, so that can't be an 8 or a 9. Blue can't be there, so this becomes blue and becomes an 8 or a 9. Green can't be in there. Clover. Green can't be in there, so that becomes green, and that becomes an 8 or a 9, and this becomes a 6. This now sees both a blue and a green and can't be an 8 or a 9. So this becomes the blue and becomes an 8, an 8. Get my control of my stuff correct, and that becomes an 8 or a 9. This sees blue and green and can't be an 8 or a 9. This sees blue and green and can't be an 8 or a 9. So this is an 8 or a 9, and that becomes green. Okay. What does that tell us? Tells us there can't be an 8 or a 9 in there. There can't be an 8 or a 9 in there. And that sees both blue and green, so that can't be an 8 or a 9. So that's I'm doing it again. That is an 8-9 pair, which means this is blue, this is green. So this is either a 1 or a 2, and this is either a 2 or a 3. And now all of the 8s, 9s in these columns and these rows are taken. Can we have an 8 and a 9? Yeah, of course we can have an 8 and a 9 and a 22. 22 in 3 could be 5, 8, 9, no problem. But it means that we must have an 8 and a 9 in each of these corners, which matches up for the thing I showed you before, because we've got an 8 or a 9 in each section of these. So there must be 4 8s, and so there's 4 8s and 4 9s in this ring. So there must be 4 8s and 4 9s in these corners. Where to look next? Well, we did say that whatever wasn't in there was in there. So I can no longer use the 7 in 21 in 3. Is that right? Or did I get that wrong? I think I might have got that wrong. 21 in 3 without a 7 is 4, 8, 9. So that becomes 4, 8, 9. These 33 cages, with 7, 8, 9, that leaves 9 left. Without using 7 or 8 is 3, 6, or 4, 5. So these will be 3, 6, or 4, 5. These will be 3, 6, or 4, 5. This looks like it's under a lot of pressure because I've got to include a 4, a 5, and a 6 in here. So I've got to make one of those using 4, 5, and 6, and then one of 1, 2, and 3. But I can only use one of 1, 2, or 3 because the other two are there. So one of these cages must contain 2 of 4, 5, and 6. Well, I can't put 2 of 4, 5, and 6 in an 8 cage. I can only put 2 of 4, 5, and 6 in a 9 cage. So that has to be 4, 5. That means I have to put a 6 in the 8 cage, which means it has to go with the 2. That becomes a 3. That becomes a 1. That's a little tricky to see. But I'm pretty certain that's correct. That's not a 1. I don't know what the order of them is. This can't be a 6. This can't be a 6. So if they can't be 6s, with 6 was 3, so these can't be 3. Eleven in 3. So 11 in 3. It can't have an 8 in it. It can't have a 7 in it. Which leaves me with 3 options. Hang on a minute. This 21 in 3 must have 2 of 7, 8 or 9 in it, because I've got 7, 8, 9 looking there, 7, 8, 9 looking there, and I can't put a 7, 8, 9 in there. So at least, and I can't put 3 of 7, 8 and 9 in the 21 cage. So this has to be a 7, 8, 9. And I think the same is going to be down here, because I've got 7, 8, 9 looking there. I've got 7, 8, 9 looking there. And I can't put 3 of 7, 8, 9 in a 20 cage, or it'd be a 24 cage, so that becomes a 7, an 8, or a 9. Okay, it's the same. No, we don't know about these ones, because while I've got 7, 8, 9 and 7, 8, 9, actually that's the same here. One of these has to be 7, 8, or 9. But not, well, but not here, because I've got the 7 in the corner. Huh. Where am I stuck now? 22 in 3. There are 2 options, and if I can't use a 6, there's only 1. This is 5, 8, 9. So this becomes a 7, which means these are not 7, they're an 8, 9 pair. Oh, they could be the same. I do not know that they are different. Though they're possibly different because of this cage. So if they were both 9, oh no, I just have to put 9 in there. That'd be fine. And 9 in there. I don't see a problem with that. So I have to put a 7. No. But I do have to put a 7 in there. And I have to put a 7 in there. So there's a 7 in this 21 cage. So it's 5, 7, 9 or 6, 7, 8. So there is a 5, 7, 9 or 6, 7, 8. What about the 20 cage? 20 in 3. More options with 9. Actually, with 7, 4, 7, 9 or 5, 7, 8. Not sure. This 10, because 10 in 3. Okay, this 10 in 3 I think is more restricted than it looks, because there's only one option for a 10 cage that doesn't include a 1, and that's 2, 3, 5. And if I was to put a 2 in it, I'd have to go there, and this would be a 3, 5, which is not possible. So there must be a 1 in this 10 cage. So if it was 1, 2, 7, it would be 2 with a 1, 7. Yep, that looks possible. If it was 1, 3, 6, it would be 3 with a 1, 6, which is not possible, because 3 would have to go there, and then I'd have to put 1, 6, so that's not 1, 3, 6. And if it was 415. I can't see how to eliminate that. What about this 11 cage? We've already looked at this. Let's look at some other stuff. 7 must go up there. Oh, by sudoku, 7 must go in this cage. So it must have a 1 in it, and it must have a 7 in it. So that's 1 and 7 is 8. So that's 1, 2, 7. We know that 7 can't be there. In fact, 2 must be there, and this is a 1, 7 pair. We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a 4, 5 pair, which is lining up 5s in here. So one of these 3 must be a 5. So that must be a 2, 1, 7. So these 7s were more powerful than I thought. Have I missed anything with 7s? So 7 I've got up there, 7 I've got up there. I think I've got them all now. Damn. Oh, what an idiot am I. That 1 makes all of those greens a 9. And of course that means all of the blues are 8. That's been sitting there for a very long time and I am not paying attention. So yeah, those resolved that very cleanly. But I don't know that it gave me anything, because it just resolved that in a grid, but it's not putting any pressure because all of these were already known to not be 8 or 9. So I don't know what that gave me. Huh. Yeah, I've still got these same. Is it something like this row, because I've got this 2 is more constrained than anything else? Like I've got to put a 1. So it's 1, 3, 4, 5. Well, we know 5 can't go there, so 5 is in one of those 2. 3 can go in any of them. 4 can go in any of them. And 1 can go anywhere but there, because I can't put 1 in that cage. Well, that's not it. I can't put 5 in that 20 cage anymore. So we'd narrowed this 20 cage because it had a 7 in it down to 4, 7, 9 or 5, 7, 8. And I can't put a 5 in it anymore because the 5 in this row must be in those 2. So this is 4, 7, 9 without 7 being there from my pencil marks. So if that's 4, 7, 9, this is an 8, which means this is not an 8. This is a 4, 7, 8, 9 quad. So that's a 1 and that's a 7. There is no 1 there, which pushes 1 over here. Which means in this 9, which we had not locked down, it means 1 can't be there if there's a 1 in it. 4, 5, 4, 5. this is resolved. We've locked this down. Can we lock the 21 cage down now? So the 21 cage has a 7 in it. So it's either 579 or 678. And we can't put a 5 in it because of the work we did on the 5s. So this is 678. We can't put 7 there. And that makes this a 9. And it does turn out these are different, which makes that not a 9. That works. Yeah, the repeated digit in here is 8, which will force 8 into there, but we've already got the 8 there. There's no similar quad along there as there was down there or down there. Okay. At the very beginning, I spent about 5 minutes explaining to you the whole Christoffel ring theory. And what I got out of that was that these cells needed to sum to 29. And now we've got 3 of them that sum to 24. That cell there is a 5. And that's because if you were to look back at the beginning of the video, I did all of the things to prove that these equal the corners. And if you take the sum of those cages and the sum of those cages, then it was, what are the numbers? 113 and 84. 113 minus 84 is 29. 29 minus 9 is 20. Minus 15 is 5. So you can put a 5 right in there. I don't know what that does for us, but that is a 5 out of absolute nowhere. That's really, really nice. Very, very well played, Clover. Okay. So, what's that put pressure on? So it means possibly nothing, but that being a 5, I like it. It may be completely useless for the solve, but it's something we were able to find. It looks completely useless for the solve. Eep. Okay, let's look at these 4 digits. We don't have 1, 2, 3, or 6. Can't put a 1 there. Is that it? Okay, let's look at these 4 digits. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, and we know there must be a 2 in there, which means there can't be a 2 in there, which means there must be a 2 in there, which means there can't be a 2 in there, which means there must be a 2 in there, which means with those 2 and that 2, there must be 2s in there, which lines up with those and that. That's not ideal. These 4 cells, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 6. That can't be 1. Remember, these 1 pencil marks were done for this 8 cage, so they don't eliminate 1 from anything here. That can't be 2. Actually, that can't be 2 either. We just did all that work. What am I missing? What has been hidden in this grid? Can't put a 6 into an 8, 3-cell 8 cage, because the other 2 digits would have to be 1. It doesn't seem to be giving me much. There is a 1 down here because there's no 1 in here, so that takes 1 out of those. We did know that there had to be a 1 in this 8 cage, so that becomes the 1. Which puts 1 in one of those 2 cells because of those 1s. Okay. So these are 1, 3, 4, and 5, but we can't have 1 in there. So that puts, oh, that only leaves that spot for the 1. And these are 2, 3, and 6. Okay. If this is 1 and 2, that sums to 3, and this is a 5. If this is 1 and 3, this is a 4. So this is a 4 or a 5. Does that put pressure on this column, which needs to have 2, 4, 5, and 6? Really? Is there a cage total or something I am missing? Like the only thing I haven't figured out is this 9. 9 in 3. There's not a lot of options for that. Okay, so you can use 1, 2, 3, or 4. Pardon me. Um, so the options, let's have a look at this. If 1 can go in either of those, no, 1 can't go there. So if there's a 1 in it, it's 1. 2 can go in either of those. And then 6 can go in either of those. If it's 1, no, take the 4 out of there. So that's if it's 1, 2, 6. If it's 1, 3, 5, that would give me a 2, 6 pair, but if it's 1, 3, 5, 3 can go in any of them. No, because I can't put 5 there. So that would be 3, that would be 5. And if it's 2, 3, 4, I can't put 4 in the middle, but I can put 2 or 3 in the middle. I can put 2 or 3 there. I can put 2 or 3 there, and I can put 4 in any of those. That looks less restricted than when I started, because I can take 6 out of there. So if it is 1, 2, 6, the only place 6 can go is there. What am I missing? These are 4, 5, 4, 5. Oh. This is a 3, 6. So this cannot be a 3, 6 to get to the 9. So this is a 4, 5. So this being a 4, 5 gives me a 4, 5 pair in that box, taking 4, 5 out of there. Does it do anything else? These are now 2, 3, and 6. Which gives me the makeup of the 11 cage. I should have looked at this earlier. So this is 2, 3, 6 in the 11 cage. Is there something similar along here? Like if this is 3, 6, both of those digits have to be 2. So I can take 3 and 6 out of there. That was very well hidden. So these are 1, 2, 3, and 6. But there's no 2 in there, which we knew. Okay. But it means that there's a 6 down here. What's going to break this puzzle open? This is going to end up being my longest video and make me look like a complete idiot. We know that 1 has to be in there. The fact that these are identical is interesting. Actually, is that interesting? Because it means I probably could have got that from looking at these. Yeah, I could have, because I knew that there's not enough, or there's no 3s in the corner, so I could have eliminated 3s from those all the way back then. So the only thing that all of that Fistemafel ring stuff at the start gave me was that 5, which I don't think has been particularly useful. Okay, so there's only 4 not known cells here, which is, okay, there's a 7 there. There's no 7 there, which gives me the 7 in the corner. That gives me a 4, 9 pair. So this is now a known pair, which is 3, 6. This is a 2, 3, 6. So this has to be a 4 or a 5, which means that's the 2. Please let that do something. There is no 2 there, which forces the 2 into there. So that's not a 2. But we know that one of those 2 has to be the 2. So that's the 2, which makes that the 2. Please let this do something. We know. There's a 4, 9 there, so there's no 4 there. That's a 5. That's a 3. That's probably been sitting there for a very long time. There is no 3 in there. That's a 1, 4 pair. There is no 1 or 4 there. There's no 4 there. This is a 2, 3 pair, which means that you cannot put a 3 there. That becomes a 3. That becomes a 6. This becomes a 1, 3 pair. Okay, which makes that a 6 and that a 3. that 3 makes that a 1 and that a 3. That 1 makes that a 4 and that a 1. That 4 makes that a 5 and that a 4. That takes 5 out of there. That 9 makes that an 8, which takes 8 out of there. That 8 makes that a 6, which takes 6 out of there. I'm sorry all of that took me so long. I was blind as a bat. That is a 489 triple. A quad. I had that quad earlier, and I probably should have used that for getting the 5 and the 4. That 3 is now giving me a 6 here, which takes the 6 out of here, which gives me a 2-3 pair at the top, which takes a 3 out of the bottom, as does that. So that's now a 1-6 pair, which does not seem to be resolved. Really? That 4 is making that a 5 and that a 4. This is a known triple, which is 1, 4, and 5. That can't be a 1, so 1 has to go in the middle. There is a 4-5 pair now at the top, which makes that a 9. So that is not a 9. This is a 4-8 pair, which makes that a 9, which makes that a 4. Take 4 out of there. I probably need to relook at this at some point. 4 now needs to go in one of those two. Yeah, this, I probably need to relook at this very soon. The math on this is going to drive me insane, but you've been sitting here watching me be an idiot for too long. Sorry, I shouldn't say I'm being an idiot. I'm just a little bit slow on this puzzle. This 4-5 is giving me an 8 and a 4. That 8 is giving me a 7 and an 8. This is now a 2-3, which makes that a 7. And that's to complete that row. So this is 2, 3, or 6. I should say I'm stumbling on this puzzle. I think I need to do stuff in this box down the bottom, because this is looking like a bunch of unresolvable stuff. So let's just figure out what I'm missing from these columns. This is 1, 2, 3, or 6. This, oh, there's a lot more in this column. So maybe I definitely need to look at this 9 cage again, I think. So we know that is a 2 or a 3. So if that's a 2, it could be 1, 6, and that is still possible. No. If this was 2, 1, 6, that would have no value. So 2, 1, 6 is not possible. So that cannot be a 6. There's no value now that works with 6. And it can't be 2, 3, 4 because there's a 4 in the row. This has to be 1, 3, 5, which means this is a 3, this is a 1, this is a 5. That will be it. There's no 1 there. That's a 2. That's a 6. That's a 1. That 5 makes that a 9 and that a 5. The number missing from this row is a 2, which takes 2 out of those. Actually, I need to figure out what's missing from this row. Is it 3, 4, and 6? It seems to be. So this is 3, 4, 6. That 5 is making that a 4, that a 5, that a 4, that a 5. I'm sorry about the... That 2 is making that a 6. 2, 3 pair, which is going to be resolved. So that 6 makes that a 4. This becomes a 3, 6. and it's resolved by the 8 cage. 1 and 5 is 6. That needs to be a 2. That needs to be a 3. That needs to be a 2. That needs to be a 3. That becomes a 6. That becomes a 2. The 6 makes that a 3, and that makes that a 6, which completes. Wow, Clover. Not that I expect you'll ever see this, but for everyone who does, yeah, Clover deserves plaudits for this. This is an amazing killer. Not that hard. There's not a lot of very complex stuff in it. All of the stuff that I did around the Fistamafel ring, I'm sure wasn't needed because all it gave me was that 5, which didn't give me anything. But the way that you used the forced 7, 8, 9s in the middle to be able to identify which was which, lock and restrict the corners, which then interacted with these corners, and and by sort of using the same concept by giving the 7, 8, 9 triples and forcing them into these corners, and that applying the pressure just using these tiny little 10 and 11 cages was just brilliant. And this box in the middle, you go, oh, that's going to be fairly simple. And you do use the 8s and 9s to restrict this down, getting the 7. But these were unresolved for a long time, I felt. That was an absolutely brilliant. That could be one of my favorite killer Sudokus that I've ever done. Though it did take me a lot longer than I thought it would partway through. After this all started falling apart, I thought, oh, this is going to be a nice one. That, but yeah, no, I really adored that puzzle. That could be one of my favorite puzzles that I've done to date. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you find a lot more fun in your Sudoku solving. Good luck, everyone.